Hello, my name is Marissa if you are new here, and thank you so much for watching, and subscribe for new videos every single week. In today's video, we are doing another, episode of a series that I have here on my channel, which is one palette for 1 week, and to see what I think of it, what shades I used, and see if I would definitely use it again and utilize it for an entire week. It's a way for me to dive into my collection and use eyeshadow palettes that don't necessarily, I am drawn to, and also to push my creative comfort zone a little bit and create looks that I may necessarily not have created before, or just wouldn't have thought of, or things like that. To me, it's just a way to make sure I utilize all the items in my collection, and if I'm finding myself not really using something, or if I try all the shades and it just I'm like, no, this palette's not for me, I could maybe declutter it or pass it off to a friend. In today's video, we're actually going to go over the highly rated Colourpop It's a Mood palette. This palette was definitely a palette that I was drawn to as soon as I saw the pictures. I mean, it is a great fall palette, as you can see. As you can see, there are 30 shades, and it comes with a variety of shades on top of it. You get some neutrals, you get some blues, purples, greens, pretty much anything you'll need to create like a fall specific look. The tones are very fall toned and earthy. You got some jewel tones. Also, just looking at the palette, it's a makeup novice's kind of dream, because the way they have it laid out, you just go row by row and you have a look. Like if someone who is new to makeup or new to particularly colorful makeup, this is a great way for you to figure out how to use color and also to try different types of eyeshadow looks with color. And honestly, as you can see throughout, you will notice how I kind of go out of the box and way out of my comfort zone in terms of creating looks. Especially in the pinks region and like the oranges and the purple region. I definitely try some new techniques for me personally. They may not be new to the masses, but they're new to me personally in terms of what I do for makeup. But I was definitely drawn to the greens and as well as the blues. Those are and also this orange row here, or I guess it is it's an orange tone row. Depends on what you see on camera, but typically I gravitate towards blues, greens, and oranges. Blue and oranges are my favorite colors, so naturally, but greens I noticed that look really well on my skin tone and with my eyes, and now with my hair being red, it looks even better. So those are typically shades I gravitate towards. So this palette obviously has all of that, and that's another reason why I ended up purchasing it. But also I kind of realized after I received the palette and saw it in person, I know some similarities in terms of not necessarily dupe for dupe shades. I mean, maybe I haven't personally swatched them just yet. Not really a swatching channel. There are plenty of channels that do that. Jen Phelps is one of them. I will link her channel down below, as well as Shay. I believe she did eye swatches on this one. Again, I will link those videos down below for your reference. If you are not already following them, definitely follow them. They're one of my favorite, two of my favorite channels. I have a lot of YouTubers I follow, and specifically for makeup releases, those are two I definitely go to, as well as many others. But anyways, when I was looking through and I seeing the shades in person, the first palette I thought of was actually my BH Cosmetics Santa Fe palette. Now, if you haven't seen the video where I did this kind of 1 week, one palette, I'll of course link that one as well down below. But when I looked at a lot of the warm tones in here and some of the purple shades, as you can see, I'm going to try to fit both of these in the shot. As you can see, there's some similarities, but they're not all exact matches. But I think the warm tone vibes in the Santa Fe as well as in this Colourpop one are very similar. Now, especially the oranges, I definitely see in the yellows. I know the pop of teal, you can kind of almost see a match, but I thought, oh, I actually have some of these shades, and I actually haven't reached for this since I've gotten this palette. I mean, they're similar, but I don't think they're like exact matches. So if you have, battery's dying. dive. Anyways, so what I was saying is that if you have this palette and are not really interested in like the purples or blues of this palette, I would say go ahead and skip it. Also, side note, I am wearing the It's Mood palette today. What I ended up doing is just taking the shade Midnight Run and then putting that all over the crease, and then I did Dream On the lid, and then a Love Song and like in the inner corner in the brow bone. Anyways, so the next one I was also thinking of, which is the Magic Mini by Juvia's Place. Now this was like one of my first like colorful palettes. As you can see, it has the variety of blues, greens, purples, oranges, and I thought there might be a lot of similar shades in here as well, but the tones are just a smidge different. As you can see, these are definitely more muted, these are definitely brighter. So I figured out like these, it wasn't exact dupe for dupe, because I was concerned. I was like, well, if I have this, do I need this? But they're different, completely different tones. And the last one I was also thinking of was the Colourpop Sandstone palette. Now this has definitely been a favorite of mine for a while. I've definitely used a lot of the neutral shades in here. As you can see, it's kind of, well, it's definitely well loved. But I was definitely concerned because I think the Sandstone came out last fall, I want to say. But as you can see, there's definitely similar shades, like don't get me wrong, but the reds and the burgundies in here do not necessarily match the oranges and reds and burgundies in here. So with that being said, I definitely think that this is a very unique palette, and if you don't have a big collection like myself, it will definitely be a great addition to your collection. Now, so going into this week, I honestly took a look at the rows and was just like, you know what? Each day I'm going to tackle a row, because that'll push me to try to be creative with the looks that I do, and it'll push me out of my comfort zone. And on top of it, I will end up using all of the shades. Now, realistically, I maybe haven't used 3 or 4. So I think that's pretty good out of a 30 shade palette. So before I ramble on, I will get into the different looks that I used. Also, side note, it is currently on Colourpop's website, and it is for $34. Not sure I mentioned that, but I figured I will. Alright, going into day 1. So day 1, I went right in, to be honest. I went into this row right here, this 3rd row, and I kind of recreated a little bit of the same look I did in my first impressions, but just added a little more pizzazz. Now everything on my base I will list in the description down below, but I won't really notate too much on it because it was pretty much the same for all days. Anyways, going into the palette. So I started with the shade Stay Close, and I started putting it all over the lid. And I was blending that. In the first impression, I definitely thought that the video was very, very red. So it kind of pulled red just as I suspected, and it was kind of good, which I didn't mind because it matched the outfit I was going for, so I definitely wanted to create a full-on monochromatic look. And then after that, I just went into the shade Crave You, and I just put that in the crease to kind of deepen it up. And all these shades, honestly, in this particular day, blended very, very, very well. And then for the shimmer, I ended up taking Full Circle all over the lid and just made it kind of the base for, and like a shimmery base for the glitter that I ended up going to put on top. And so I ended up putting the shade New Moon all over my lid, and obviously this is after I went in with a a liner into the waterline, and I'm actually really liking doing that now, and I like how it defines my eyes with the Flower Beauty Forever Wear Longwear liner in Brownstone. And then I went into the Colourpop BFF mascara in Brownie Points. This is a great just brown mascara. I didn't want to do a black mascara because I really wanted the eyeshadows to showcase and the glitter to kind of be the star of the show. Now this actually wore very, very well, and it had minimal fallout, to be honest, with these shades, which I wasn't really shocked with. I was surprised that the glitter didn't go everywhere, but it was definitely very smooth and didn't, to me, it was as smooth as glitter can get. It's definitely a chunkier glitter. Like, don't get me wrong, the glitter is chunky. So I definitely recommend doing your eyes first, just as to be safe, I guess. It's the best way to put it. But for me personally, I didn't have a whole lot of fallout and the glitter didn't go everywhere. The glitter started going everywhere when I went to remove it, which was fun. I had glitter on my face for a day or two. But yeah, that was day one. Went with the orange reddish kind of tone to match my top that I was wearing. Going into day two, I went for it with this next row, which is the very far outer row, which it had the browns and green tones, mostly brown tone with that green shimmer. So I decided to do a halo eye, which I don't typically do, and it's actually the first time I've tried it, but I figured with these green neutral tones and the jacket I was wearing, I thought it'd be perfect for the look that day. So what I ended up doing is going into Midnight Run and putting that in the crease specifically and kind of blowing it out a little bit. And then once that was blended, after that was blended out, I went into the shimmer shade Wanna Go, and I put that in the outer and inner corner of my eye. This was very smooth and blended really good. I love the way the olive tone turned out, especially on my eyes. It made my eyes actually look green, which was fun. And then what I ended up doing is putting Dream On in the center of my lid to kind of create that halo effect. It's a very pretty gold shimmer, which I loved. And then what I ended up doing is blowing out smoking out the lower lash line with Midnight Run. And then I took a little bit of the Dream On and put it in the center of my lower lash line, so that way the halo continued onto my lower lash line. So I took, for my brow bone and inner corner, I took the shade Love Song, which is a really pretty champagne shimmer, and I thought it really highlighted my inner corner and brown bone very well. And then I went again and lined my waterline with a Flower Beauty liner, the same Forever Wear liner in Emerald. And then I went in with the Maybelline Sky High mascara. It's a waterproof mascara, and that was in black. This was probably my favorite row to dive into. I think it's the most wearable row to dive into, especially for me personally. I love the browns and the greens and the golden tones. I think it's very everyday. I get to go into the shade Our Deal, which is really dark brown. I think if I went into that, it definitely would have popped more and gave it an even smokier vibe, but I was just trying to make it a little more light but with a pop of color. Okay, going into day three. Now day three is where I went for it with the purple eyeshadow. I went solely into this purple row. So I started out with the shade Night Call, which is this purpley gray lavendery shade, and I was trying to just kind of put some sort of color on my lid. I put it in the crease and lower lash line. Then what I ended up doing is I just wanted to put some sort of color onto the lid. So when I went into the shade Night Call, I noticed it was a little more pink than what I was expecting, to be honest. Like, the shade in the pan looks very purpley gray, very muted, but then when I put it on my lid, it seemed very pink, so I don't know if it was the brush I was using or what. But then I went into the shade Echoes, which is this very dark, which is this middle purple, which is very, very deep. And I took like an angled liner brush and I tried to line the top and bottom. Both had lots of fallout, which I was very surprised. And what I wanted to do was attempt the reverse cat eye on this day. Hi Milo, hold on, he wants to be loud. Anyways, so what I was trying to do is do the reverse cat eye with a purple shadow liner, and this is the first time I'm trying it, so I was very ambitious this week. Yeah, so what I was trying to do with that Echoes line, like shadow, I was trying to line the bottom and do like a reverse cat eye, but there was a lot of fallout. Like this was definitely a day I should have done my eyes first, but I wasn't sure how to do that with the reverse cat eye. This is my first time trying it. I wanted it to be a very small wing, and obviously that kind of expanded to a very graphic and very long wing, which it ended up turning out totally fine. Honestly, this was like my least favorite look. I mean, I tried to save it and tried to make sure it was clean and make sure the liner looked good. I thought it was fairly good in terms of skill wise. And then I topped it with the shade Thunder, which is the shimmer that's in there. But the entire row honestly had lots of fallout, which I was very surprised. I think I would have liked this look, one, if I maybe practiced it a little more. And also too, if I had like purple like cream gel liner or something to put in the waterline. I ended up putting the shade, the Colourpop cream gel liner shade in Honeydew. I ended up putting that in the waterline to help brighten it up since the purple was so dark. But overall, this was probably my least favorite look. It was more of a me thing than it was actually the shadows. I think the shadows blended well. I was kind of shocked with the fallout, but fallout typically doesn't bother me, but I definitely want to notate that there was a lot of fallout in that particular row. And I know purple is a really hard color to produce and to have really good pigmentation and not a ton of fallout, but for this particular palette, I thought that they did a really good job. But if you do not like fallout, like just know that that particular row had a ton of it. Okay, going into day 4. So in day 4, what I went into this row right here, which is right next to the second one from the left, which it has this like purpley burgundy toned, as well as lighter crease shades and shimmer shades, and that really light cream shade as well. So I started out with the shade Bonafide, and I put that all over the lid, and that one had a ton of fallout, which I was very surprised by, and it was super powdery, but the plus side with that, it was very blendable, it was really light, and then it had great pigmentation. The next shade I went into is the shade Everywhere, which is a like pinkish tone tan color, just to kind of, and I put it in the crease just to kind of deepen up a little bit. And then what I ended up doing is putting the shimmer shade, which is very like a peachy pinky tone shimmer, and I put that all over the lid. And then I went back into the shade Everywhere and I put that in the crease and lower lash line to kind of blend it out and smoke it out. That's typically what I like to do for most of my eyeshadow looks, is take the crease shade and put it in the lower lash line to kind of blend everything together. Then I use the shade Fascination, which is that really deep purple burgundy color, and I used it as a liner, and I thought it turned out really good. I did like this look. It was very simple, it wasn't crazy or anything like that. I went back again in with the Colourpop cream liner in the shade Honeydew again to brighten up my eyes a little bit, as well as the Maybelline Sky High mascara. This look was probably like my second to least favorite look, but it was more so the fact of like the tones were not just really my vibe and what I typically go for, but I thought it turned out really cool, especially with the fact that I used it as like a graphic liner kind of a thing. And like that aspect I thought was really pretty. I think I would have loved it more if it was in like my normal like shades like blue, orange, or green. But I thought it matched my shirt really well. I thought it was a fun take on it. That was my first time trying to do like some sort of graphic, like Egyptian kind of eye, which I thought was fun, and I thought it was a great way to push in, a great way to use the shades. I mean, the only shade I didn't use is the glitter, so I pretty much utilized every shade, and I came out with a really cool look, which is the whole point of me doing all of testing this out in this way, this palette out in this way. Okay, going into day 5, I decided to tackle the blues. This row here. Yeah, the blues, the blues turned out to be quite the challenge, and honestly it was kind of my fault. I should have known. Do eyes first. Hello, look how bright and pigmented those shades are, because yeah, blue usually tends to go everywhere. But either way, I started out with the shade You and I, which is that taupey crease color shade that they have at the very top, and I put it in the crease and lower lash line. Like I was saying, usually the crease colors I tend to blow out on the lower lash line. Then I went into the shade Don't Deny, and I put it on my lid and I put it on my lower lash line. So I attempted this, I tried to blend. It was very pigmented, but it seemed to get a little patchy. So I don't know if that was the brush I was using or just maybe my packing motion I was using. It was very odd, but I ended up being able to blend it out, but I had to pause and clean up the edges and kind of try to clean it up a little bit to get the shape that I wanted. So note to self, if you're going to do the purples or blues or greens in here, you do the eyes first. Definitely do the eyes first. But the shades were definitely very powdery, blended beautifully once I got it going. There was lots of fallout in the pan, but not on my face, which I found very interesting. I think I was just definitely very careful with how I was applying it to my eyes. Then I went back into You and I ended up blending it out and creating that kind of winged out shape, which I really like to do, especially on my eyes since I have really big round eyes. I try to like almost elongate them a little bit to kind of balance them out. Then I went into Feels Like in the inner corner. So I tried that and I thought, oh, that'd be cool just to do the shimmer and have it be like a very cool smoky tone, smoky cool blue look. Then I figured out it wasn't really doing the brightening effect that I wanted. I liked the shimmer that it was creating, because it had this all matte blue, and then you turn the corner a little bit and you had this brightness in the inner corner, but I just found it wasn't bright enough. So I went into the Elf Glow Gleam Bean palette and I went into that white kind of highlighty shade and I put that in the inner corner and brow bone, and that seemed to definitely do the trick with what I was looking for. Then I went into the Colourpop Cream Gel Liner in this shade Zulu to kind of brighten up the water eye. Then I did a little bit of a black eyeliner wing with the Physician Formula Eye Booster in the shade Black is Black. And then I went in again with the Maybelline Sky High Mascara. Overall, this was definitely a fun look of mine, but note to self, put blue eyeshadow on first, just to be able to clean it up and get the shape that you want without having to redo your makeup. But I really love the way this looked on my eyes, because it really made the brownness in my eyes pop. But I don't think this was my favorite look. So, okay, so going into day 6, I went and tackled this last row, this green row. And as you can see, there's not really transition shade, at least in my opinion. I know you can maybe use these two here, but I don't think I'm ready for that. I think I want to try and play a little bit more before I go and do that. So I went into the shade Midnight Run to go in the crease. And this particular day, I mean day 6, it took me to day 6 to actually do my eyes first. So I ended up doing my eyes first on this one. And so I went with the shade Midnight Run in the crease, and then after that I went into the shade Oblivion, and I did that just solely on the outside corner. I found out that it was super patchy, which I was very surprised by, and honestly it could have been the brush that I was using, so I ended up switching brushes. And then I ended up putting this like greeny, like, I want to say it's like a lighter version of Wanna Go, kind of olive tone shimmer. It's like greeny gold, olive tone, like olive toned slash gold shimmer. It's a really cool shade, and I put that in the inner portion of the lid to add just a little bit of a shimmer. This particular day I was not trying to do anything crazy. I just wanted to go down to bare basics and what I knew how to do, and to see if I liked what the outcome was. Then I took a short break, put the rest of my face on and my base on, and then I went into the shade Midnight Run again and put it on the lower lash line just to kind of buff it out and connect it to the lid. And then I went into the shade Oblivion again with a little tinier, denser brush, and I kind of lined the lower lash line, and I went into the then again I went into the shade Surrender and did like the very inner corner of my lower lash line. I was gonna go into the Flower Beauty liner in the shade Emerald, but I wasn't really sure about the shade, so I kind of just scrapped that. And then I went into the Raw Beauty, Kristi, and Colourpop collab cream gel liner in the shade Spare Time. I have a feeling most of you have this. I think this is a great green shade. And then of course topped it off with the Maybelline Sky High mascara. Yeah, so overall, I ended up not using, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 shades. I didn't use 5 shades out of a 30 shade palette, which I think is absolutely fantastic. I used it for everyday looks going to work. I used it during my nighttime playtime with makeup, and then I used it for when I went out to dinner. I think this is definitely a must-have in your shadow collection, unless you have a lot of eyeshadow palettes from the past that are geared towards fall. Maybe not. It just really depends on which color tones you gravitate towards. Now I gravitate towards 5 out of the 6 rows in here. So to me, this is a great buy, and honestly, I plan on taking this with me to Disney because I literally have all the options that I could want in creating a look. And so I am super excited about this palette. It definitely met my expectations, and if you haven't had a chance to go get it, go get it. I know it's been hyped on here on YouTube, here on Insta, I know there's been a lot of hype around this, and honestly, the hype is definitely worth it. I know $34 seems like a lot. It could be a lot to some people. I don't know. I'm not you, and I'm not in charge of your wallet. But to me, the fact that it is like, the fact that I used it so much and I kept wanting to use it. Like, I didn't plan on filming, doing a look today, but I ended up wanting to grab it. And that says a lot after you purchase something, and that, you know, it's definitely a staple now with me, and the fact that I'm going to take it with me on vacation. Yeah, it's a bigger palette. As you can see, it is bigger than my head. But I won't have to I don't have to bring any other eyeshadow palettes. And honestly, with these shimmers, like, truthfully, like for Love Song, like, I don't even need to bring highlighter. Like, truthfully. Like, I can use this as a highlight. I can use the shade Reunion as a highlight, and then some of these like burgundy jewel tones. I don't know if you can be able to see some of these burgundy jewel tones. I can use these as like blushes. Like, if I did a light hand, I can use this as a blush, especially for the fall. Like, it's a really pretty burgundy color. This is like, look at that. Like, what? Like I said, I'm not really a swatching kind of channel, but I figured I would just swatch a couple of them. But I cannot rave enough about this. Oh shoot, I just put the swatch on my palette. Oops. That just tells you that this is pigmented. This is very pigmented. But I can't say enough good things about this. If you haven't gone and get it, go get it. is amazing, and honestly this is probably my go-to palette for the foreseeable future. So that is my review on the It's a Mood palette from Colourpop. I hope you enjoyed the full-on overview of all of the shades and got to see them in action. Let me know if you like videos like this. I definitely enjoy watching testing videos. I also think this is a great way to really test, one, my skills, and also really test any of the products, especially eyeshadows, and see if I would utilize all of these shades. And I know that's a big thing, especially with bigger palettes. I know a lot of minis are a big thing right now. But honestly, I enjoy making these videos. I don't know if you can tell, and I think they're a great way to see if it's going to be worth your money or not. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Hit the like button if you did enjoy this video. This is one of my favorite videos to film on my channel, as well as I hope you guys enjoy it. And yeah, and if subscribe for new videos every single week. We do all kinds of stuff over here. We got vlogs, we have lifestyle stuff, fashion hauls, makeup, obviously. But yeah, thank you guys again so much for watching, and let me know down below which one was your favorite look, as well as any looks that you have used with this palette if you have already purchased it. I would love for you to tag me in your looks, as well over on Instagram. If you're not following me over there, it is at From Hem to Sim. I would put the icon here. And yeah, if you want to follow me over there, we get day-to-day stuff. Yeah, so thank you guys again so much for watching, and I will see you in my next one. Bye.